I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone, we have 4 meetings of minutes to approve. 2 non-public, 3 non-public.
Do you want to do all the non-publics first, or?
So February 20th, and then February 25th and February 17th. Motion approved.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
I had one correction.
No, I'm sorry.
One of them listed us at meeting here, we met at the town office.
Yeah,
So
so
February
February 25th.
25th.
So
The February 25th one?
so it's in 2 places, up at the top under the heading and then in the call the order line.
We met at the town office, not here.
Right.
Then we have a public meeting for February 17th.
I'll move to approve, but I have a correction.
Where?
Under
3?
3, it says that we made a motion to go ahead and approve the contract. We didn't do that. We approved signing the conflict of interest form. We had already signed the contract in a prior
Correct.
meeting, right?
Oh, we've done a draft, but now it's being
Okay.
reworked.
But I think on that date was when you gave us the conflict of
Yeah,
interest. and we
but
signed it.
because the lawyer for Grafton and the lawyer for Han work for the same firm.
Yes,
So we have to-
yes, we had to sign
Release
that. We would accept that.
You made a motion, second, all in
Second.
favor?
Uh,
Aye,
As corrected.
that's corrected. Thank you, sir. February 26th, public meeting,
I'll move to approve.
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
You might want to grab that.
Yep.
Do we have, Lux and Timber Jackson?
No, that's what you have in the.
Just,
Right.
so we have a purchase order for, the voting machines, which you already voted to approve. But the state wants the actual machines that we purchased on the voting, so we have to re-vote on it. We voted, approved it back on August 19th, but when the state for reimbursement wants the actual model of the machine we purchased. So
In the motion, it wasn't in the motion originally because we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't know what the numbers were.
So I don't see it here in what Ann wrote up either again.
What's it say there?
It just says the town of Buchanan approved first select board meeting on August 19th for the purchase of 2 Voting Works. Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Voting Works, okay. Voting Works electronic ballot devices. Unfortunately, the minutes reflect that consent purchase. Do not modify specify the brand. So they are Voting Works electronic devices. Motion to approve that.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Open first. Hey, John.
Hiding over here. I had to go find him. He cut his hair and drinking his beer, and I'm going, who the heck is that?
I was
He's hoping
hoping so
for
long, I
summer.
forgot what he looked like anyway.
And then it started snowing again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So we have the audit from, for 2024.
You want to do water systems before on the adjournment?
Oh, okay, yeah. We have Mike and John here. Mike's from what was originally Horizons and now is bought by another company. And they've been working on our water system and other projects for 2 years. So just have you here to update us on where we are and where we're going in this coming year. Floor is yours, Mike.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm gonna stay sat down here but everybody be able to hear me. I've got a few handouts that I already put up there for the selectmen to look at. Can't go up on the screen or anything, but I would be happy even after the meeting if somebody had any questions or stuff like that and wanted to ask me. I'd be happy to do that. Essentially, this project, we started out a number of years ago putting a new intake into the lake, and it dropped the intake down maybe 10, 12 feet in the lake, trying to get better water quality, which would make the water plant run better as well. As a part of that project took place, there was a $550,000 loan that was taken with the state from the state revolving fund, $550,000. So we spent about $260,000 on the construction work for the new intake. And then what we've been trying to do is use the rest of the money to get the rest of the design work done and to also pay for some other items. So I gave you guys a copy there of what we do with the state is we put in a request for disbursement. That's how we get the money from their account into yours. And essentially out of that 550, we have about $70,000 left that we could use for design work. And we have $20,000 left for easements and or legal work. And so out of that 550, you guys have spent about 83% of that, 85% or so. So we still have some money left in the loan. Any money that you don't spend out of the loan, you won't be charged for. This loan will be closed in June of 2027. So we have about 15 months or so left of being able to tap into that loan with the state. Pretty much you can use that for a variety of items. So the project, the overall project was to put a new intake into the lake and then to run a water line from the filter plant directly to the tank so that we could eliminate some cross-country piping. And then we could also, instead of sending the water down to town, we could send it to the tank. And then from the tank, it would go into the town, so it would improve the water quality because the water wouldn't sit in the tank so long. So that's one of the projects that we still have left, to go from the filter plant directly to the tank with a line and then be able to eliminate the cross-country line that comes down. Additionally, the other really two components of the project is the services in town. There's a lot of lead services in town. I believe it's like 37 or so, and we've got those all documented pretty well. We know where they are. And the other item that we would really need to do or would like to do is to replace the water main on Main Street on Route 4 from the intersection of Canaan Street up to School Street, the triangle of it, School Street. So we wanted, that's an old pipe. It's a 100-plus-year-old pipe. And we want to, in addition to replacing the services along that area, we really would like to be able to replace that pipe. So what I've handed out to you guys is, we've got the overall budget here in one of the sheets. And this is the most recent request for disbursement. That's how we get the money from the state. So this shows you exactly where we're at, how much money you've taken from DEF, and you could do the math and see how much is left. Um, the 11 by 17 sheets that you have, one of the sets that kind of shows the work along, Canaan Street, and then it goes down Blaine Road. If you can see that from the cover sheet. And it's listed as sheets 3 through 7. So this is the design work that we've done so far to get the water main from the filter plant to the tank. And so you can kind of look through this. It's in pretty good detail. I did meet with Scott out there one day. And John, of course, I met with him many times. And so this is the layout that we've come up with. And we've shown what we would propose to do to get the water transmission main from the plant to the tank. If you go to sheet 6 there, within that set. One of the things we need to do is, from the end of Blaine Road, there's a private property in between to get over to the town property where the water tank is. You guys see that there? And so that's owned by, well, from when we put this plan together, Morgan, April, and Jerry Keith are listed as the property owners there. It's 107 Blaine Road. You guys all see that? So this is something that we have put together enough information to be able to approach this property owner and say, we would like to obtain an easement across your property for the water main. Okay.
That first section driveway, Mike,
Say
is
again?
that first section, driveway?
The first section is their driveway, and then you can see where their houses is. And I believe that's also a turnaround right now for the town plows Blaine Road, and they turn around. I think they push up that driveway, they turn around and go back down Blaine Road. So, John and I have met with Morgan, and that was back like in May or so. It was quite a while ago now. And we kind of explained to them what we were trying to do. But it never got too much further than that so far. And I'll go through a little more of what we need to do with them. So this gives you the picture of what we're planning on doing, what we'd like to do to get from the plant to the tank. Okay. And then if you can pull out the purchase and sales agreement. I gave a sample, I provided a sample, so everyone could get an idea of how, obtaining that easement, what's kind of the process to go through. So what you would want to do is coordinate with that landowner. And if you look in the last of that set, if you look in the very last sheet, there's another map, okay? And so that shows just a close-up of exactly where the easement is. Now, this plan would be developed a little bit more, like we would put a description to all of those dashed lines that you see. So we would do a little more embellishment to this plan to identify exactly where this land is. And so it totals out to be approximately 4/10 of an acre that we would ask for an easement across their property. So that would be the plan that would go along with this other legal work that you would do to obtain that easement. And so what you would try to do is develop this purchase and sale agreement with them based upon this map and what the town is asking for. And this is, again, just a sample. So this form would be revised. Typically, an attorney would do this work, not the engineer. But we would help, the engineer could help with, the plan and a description of things and stuff like that. But this is very similar to what you guys would be asking for. Same thing, just with a different person. So you do the purchase and sale agreement, and once you determine, what was acceptable terms to both parties, you would do this deed, this easement deed. And that would describe exactly where the easement is. So that's the second and third.
What kind of property is that we're cutting through on there? Is it wooded? Is it gonna cut down a bunch of trees or?
It's under power lines, actually.
Well, there's a little woods road right there, actually, that extends off the driveway.
Okay,
And what we would do though is the town property juts in a little bit, so what we would do is get back onto the town property as quickly as we could. We would have to do clearing and stuff in there,
Do what?
so.
I didn't hear what you said.
We would need to do probably a little clearing, not so much on the easement area, because it's already pretty cleared there. But when we come out on the edge there, but that would be a part of the construction project to cut the trees and to put the water main through.
The bulk
So,
of the clearing work will have to be done on what's already the town property that holds the tank.
so this is,
Down through
the easement is needed essentially to do that transmission.
That
main
wetlands
project.
through there as well?
They're gonna-
So the break in the walls, is it a wetlands area?
There is some wetlands there, but we're gonna bridge in between it because it's, like I said, there's a little access road already there, a logging road. So this has been presented to the property owners, but it needs to kind of get taken to the next step. And the value of the easement is subjective to some degree. But what you'd want to do, I think, is if you could come up with a, you know, a reasonable, what everyone thought was a reasonable price for that. It's not worth $1 million.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it is valuable to go through there. I don't think it's part of the value is the detriment that it puts onto the property or the restrictions that it would put onto the property. So this easement would just be for, you guys it would be for the water main and or an overhead electric line to go through there, because there's also at the bottom of the area, or the pole is at the property
Yes.
up at, right by the house. So if you wanted to run electricity to the tank so that you could monitor the tank conditions, how deep the water is and other things. You might want to run electricity there. You might want to put a heater in the tank. This year, you guys had a little bit of an issue with the cold temperatures. The water actually froze around the exterior of the tank, and it caused some issues with the operation. So one of the things you can do is you could put a small heater in there, and or you could put like a stirring device in. And if you had electricity there, that would provide power to those devices. And then it would also maybe provide information for John to operate the tank better.
But this will also, by rerouting the water this direction, you're also already going to have some circulation in that tank.
Much better.
So you won't be
Much
getting,
better.
you won't be getting stagnant water reaching air temperature nearly as quick.
Precisely, yeah. Yeah, there's some real good advantages of having that direct line to the tank. So this, what I wanted to try to just give you guys is, here's kind of the process to go through. So, you know, once you figure out how much it'll cost you, you write up the description of it, and then now if the bank still has a mortgage on the property, the bank has to acknowledge that too and agree to the easement. So that's what these documents are. They're like sample documentation of what you need to do. What's kind of transpired is that you have kind of two different funding sources. You have some money that we're hoping to get from the EPA, that it was like a congressional discretional spending, or I forget what they called it exactly. And that's something that Gene Shaheen, it's an earmark. So what if, they used to do this a lot in the past where they're earmarked money to build a bridge or do something here. And it was kind of what the politicians could bring back to the communities and say, look what I was able to do for you. And so this was something that was done a number of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I forget when it, you know, was under the Biden administration that this got processed. So you guys had a potential to get 1.7 million, I think is the number, 1.5 million. But that money has not been secured yet. And that's something that I don't know a lot about, or where it's, you know, it's been difficult because of a number of items, which you guys are probably more familiar with than I am. But that's something that I still don't know whether or not that money is available for the project or not, right? The other source of money is, I think, 780,000 from the state of New Hampshire would administer that, and that's for the lead service replacement work. Okay, So you took a $550,000 loan and we're 2/3 of the way through that, 3/4 of the way through that loan. Still have some balance left. You have the 780, that money's been secured. You don't have the 1.5 million yet. Now, it's pretty important to try to get that money. And part of the reason is that you've already spent some money, this 550. That goes towards your contribution to get this money, because that money comes in and there's a certain amount of grant, but they want to see that you've already contributed as well. And you already have, so you don't want to lose that investment you've already made in the loan, okay? What's happening with me is I've been working on this a long time, but I haven't been able to really know exactly where I'm going because I don't know how much money I really have to work with. So the second set of plans that shows Main Street on it, you can see the section of Main Street says sheet 3, it's that set. So we have along that stretch from Canaan, School Street. We have services to do and we really want to replace the water main from that location. The lead removal money is not eligible for the water main. So we can't use that money to replace the water main. That's why we need the EPA money for that piece. And then these other 2 sheets that you see, 4 and 5, those are for services around town that have been identified needing to be replaced. So what I'd like you to do is look at the second sheet in, and I did a highlight on that sheet. So where I'm at with this is the existing water main is out in the road. Okay, in this stretch. So if we have to go to that water main specifically with our new services, we're gonna have to dig up the road to get there because it's in the middle of the road. What we really want to do in there is put the new water main way on the edge, outside of the pavement, outside of the sidewalk even. And then we want to run the drill services under the road so we don't disturb the pavement. So we know what we really want to do there, but we can't do it with the existing water main. Which is why it's really, really important that we have enough money to replace that 120-year-old water main or whatever it is. It's old. I do know you had a leak out there this year. So what'll happen is if we have to dig up the road to replace these services, we have the money for the services, we have it. But if we have to dig out, we're gonna be spending money on all of these cuts in the roadway, and then the DOT will make you overlay the road because it'd be all dug up, it'd be a mess. So you'll be spending money on the state highway a little bit, and that would be less money available. And then to exasperate that is in the future, when that water main really lets go and you're like, God, we got to get rid of this thing. It's almost like all the money you spent will have to be spent again. And I don't know if I'm explaining that well enough, but I hope so. So it's really important to put the new water main in this location. We were going to use the EPA money to do that. So that's where, I would implore you to continue to try to do whatever you need to do. I don't think that money is lost yet, but you don't have it yet either. And it's gotten to be, there's a new administration and Jeanne Shaheen is not going to be around after March, I think, right? As she's not running again, I don't think, right? Or is she?
No.
So, we're kind of losing support there. So that's why I haven't really finished the design yet. Now, what I wanted to propose to you is what I could do is I could do kind of 2 designs for this little stretch here. I could do a design assuming that the water main will be replaced. And then I can do a design that shows the water main not being replaced. And that way you'll have 2 items. So it'd be better to use that lead money to replace some of the services, even if it's not the best solution overall. You might as well spend it because that money is in hand and it's not costing you very much. I think it's like an 80-20. And that requirement, the state is going to stay on you for that. They crack in the whip about the lead services. So that's kind of it's where I'm at. If you guys say, Mike, why don't you go ahead, produce these two different designs, and what I've done is initially, this was gonna be one project, all of it. Because there's some value in having, a bigger contract, and then you have one person doing it, you don't have to manage two different contractors, or even three, depending on how it goes. I'd say that we're about 90% on the transmission main piece. And we're probably like 80% complete on the services. And it won't take a whole lot more of an expense to do kind of the two different plan sets for the services on Route 4. So that will give us kind of a ready to go. It's like, this is the one we can do, and we'll pull it out, and that's the one that we finish wrapping up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, my opinion, to do, set up both plans, so we can, maybe, until we know what we're set for money, then we got a plan for the worst case scenario. But we also have to be ready for the best case scenario if we can get the money.
So that's kind of a lot to throw out there.
What's that?
It's a lot to throw out there, but, I think what I would recommend is, you have $20,000 budgeted for land and easements. So I think, I would pursue getting that easement.
Agreed.
Even if you
Yeah.
can't do the transmission project now, let's say for some reason you don't end up doing it, you can use this money, which is very low interest money, to have that in your back pocket. So now you don't have to worry about it in the future. And so that would be something that I'm not exactly sure what the next step is. You might write a letter to the property owner. But that would be something that I would pursue that. And then I think, you should get an attorney, the town attorney, whoever you're using, to put this paperwork together.
Yep.
And to try to get that easement in place.
100%.
And so that plan, the date on that plan is May of last year. So, we've kind of had this ready to look at and to proceed with, but it kind of like, I think everything's just been on hold a little bit, waiting to see, where we're gonna go, where we would go with it.
Okay. We thought we're on hold for you, for your.
For me?
getting the squared
Yeah.
away, so that's what we were under.
Well, it's, the pieces have to kind of fall into place. And so until you really know what your finances are like, it's hard to know, well, how do you tailor, what's the project that you tailor to? You didn't, the 780,000, you maybe got approval for that a month ago or a couple months or.
So 3 or 4 months ago.
Is it that? Yeah.
Yeah, we got that that was finalized in the fall.
Can we talk about the water intake and what's going on there?
Absolutely, we can, yes.
Yeah.
What's
So
the
I know
new intake?
a little, but I don't know everything with it. I have been in touch with John a little bit. From my perspective, the way that you would expel air from your line, that line, I wish I had brought the as-built. The line goes from the plant and it goes down just because of the drilling techniques that they use. They don't like to go just a little bit below the ground when they like to kind of get down, have some overburden to protect the pipe from trying to float up. And so we went along relatively flat, and then when we hit the wetlands, we drilled deep and came back up. So what that means is there's a very low spot in your pipe and then there's a high spot. If you try to push the water back from the high spot, you have to push that bubble all the way out and around, all the way down and around. So it's easier to get the bubble out by sucking it out because it doesn't have to go very high to get it out. So John told me they did do that work and it improved the situation, but it still didn't rectify it from where we believed we were at when it was first put in. My other thoughts with the project is there was one point when they were drilling that they had a tough spot. They hit a rock or a big rock or rock outcrop, I'm not really sure. And so they had to kind of divert the pipe around it. So if I had to look to see where there might be a constriction in the pipe, that would be the first place I would look. Now, the project was done three summers
years
ago. So the contractor, he doesn't have any there's no guarantee left on that.
So if it was a constriction because of a rock, how does that go for 3 years without an issue and then all of a sudden it becomes an issue?
That's a great question. I mean, you know, this year was the other thing with this year to me was that, the ice, there was a lot of ice this year and a lot of cold temperatures that persisted for a pretty long time. So I don't really think that any of the water froze in the pipe. I don't think it was frozen water in the pipe. However, I mean, that would be another suspect to wonder.
Okay, but that's not talking about the constriction or it's a potential for a constriction. And then I still don't understand how you get a bubble in there that could stop flow when we're drawing water from 12 feet below the surface and.
It's because of the alignment of the pipe. So the pipe is very flat from about, you know, where you kind of come to the wetlands. It's pretty flat all the way to the plant. So that's the area. And then we're trying to suck up 4 feet from there. That's a 4-foot lift. So if an air bubble did form in the pipe, it would want to form at that highest point.
You haven't explained how air bubble gets in the pipe in
Well,
the first place.
Great question. I'm not really sure of the answer to that. So again, what I'm saying to John is there's a certain amount of water to take out of that pipe to create a good flushing, you know, to draw the air and so he really would need to pump it at a rate of like 60 to 70 gallons a minute to pull that air bubble out. And John can pull
50, 45, 50. Right now.
He had been pulling 50 out of it. Now it's like 30 or something like that. So I don't know why it occurred. If there was an air break above the lake level, if somehow air got in to the pipe between the plant and the lake level, somehow back from the plant, that would be a place that air could get in it. I don't think that there's a break in the pipe, pulling air into it. I really don't know how that air bubble got in there. What I'm suggesting to John is if he had maybe a bigger pump at the plant, he could flush it better. And that might be an activity that we do 2 or 3 times a year to maintain the pipe, to maintain a full pipe and make sure that he's only drawn, a smaller pump is drawn just the water out, not fighting the air. So that air bubble, if it's big enough, it can make the pipe diameter smaller because air is taking up the space of
I
the pipe.
understand what you're saying. I just
Yeah.
don't understand
I
how
wanna
it could
hear-
happen.
Todd
And
has to.
you and Todd, but you had something to say first, no?
The pipe, it's in underneath.
Right, once the air's in there.
Biggest thing to do is right now, stop playing with this thing, put a camera up.
That's what I was gonna say, can't we just hold up?
We've been playing for this thing for 4 or 5 months now. It's time to just, same thing with the drains that happened over here this week. We finally got some good flows and stuff.
No. That's what you're gonna say, Tom?
Yeah, I just want to know if we could just put a scope down through there.
Yeah.
And then you can inspect the entire length of the
The
pipe.
length of it.
Yeah, because you're not going to introduce air in the lake because it's fully submerged.
Unless it comes out of suspension,
It's got to
Because
come
it's
out
a
of suspension
negative
before.
pressure within that pipe. But I'm not really sure how the air got in there. But John did, you know, when he said when he was doing the suction on it, that air, there was air in it. So how that gets in there would be a question of further investigation to see, is there a break in the pipe? There could be. You know, this pipe, this HDPE pipe, I mean, it's pretty rugged in it. I mean, you can bend that stuff in half and it doesn't really break. There would be a restriction in it if you made it not round anymore but I don't know why it reared up now, or if it was something that had been over time building up, but not being noticed.
Well, my concern is just that would be at the filter plant where they bent that around, that it has got a restriction in it. because you're drawing on that pipe, you're not putting pressure, so it's going to allow it to collapse. The other thing, if there's a break in that pipe somewhere through that wetland, you're going to be getting sediment because you're putting water in. You're not pressurizing the line to expand it. It's drawing, so it's going to create a vacuum in there to bring it down. So unless we have an area that is strictly open to the air to bring just air in, you're also going to be bringing contaminants in with it.
Yeah, I don't know if the water quality has been, if you notice any sediments or anything.
So we have a valve that sits right, and it's a break where Majewski's
Mhm.
property is, so that we can close that valve for everything out and then camera it all the way out to the valve. We have to use the water only.
Yes,
Yes, I mean, you have to use a clean camera, but we can camera all the way out to there.
I'm saying the difference between the lines down here have static pressure that holds them expanded. Your water intake, the only static pressure, what you're getting is from the lake level. But when you're pumping from that line, if you have a constriction, now you're causing a vacuum in that from the constriction to the pump, allows the line to collapse even more.
Right, there is a negative pressure of about 4 feet, it's about a 4-foot lift from the lake to where the pumps are into the line. So you got about 4 feet of elevation difference, and that is negative pressure within that length of pipe. So again, though, it's one of those things where I definitely would say that I didn't like hearing that there was anything going on with the intake. I haven't really been over there to see anything, but I tried to coordinate with John some on, you know, what I would think to look for.
Who's capable of doing camera work and doing that?
We have to find somebody that has a water only camera. You can't stick a septic camera up. Counterproductive. That's the problem, is that a lot of people have the septic
Yeah.
cameras. And the water cameras are far and few in between. I have one that right now that goes out 850, but I'm gonna need one that goes out, I think it's 820. 820 is the, where that
820.
valve is, so that
Yeah.
we can suck all the water out of it. And then have it dry and then literally go up it. So we have we have a hydrant there. We pull the hydrant out and then go right up the line.
Are we using that line now, or are we still on the? old one?
No, as of today, I changed it back to the other old line. But I'm not getting, I can stay steady with it, but I can't go increase the volume. That's the problem.
When you say steady, what does that mean?
It's always, what I can do is get a daily flow and that's it. It
Oh,
stays constant.
Daily flow we need, or?
Yeah, the daily flow you need, but it doesn't give you that flexibility that you need to go up and down.
I guess my question, because I think doing something and spending money and then redoing it, I'm just not in the frame of mind to want to continue doing this. What's the process to apply for this additional funding, and where are we at with that, John? Like, when is it?
Well, right now it's,
open? When is it closed? How prepared are we?
it's still open. It's the EPA CWP fund, the community loan fund,
Mhm.
basically, and it's a grant.
Okay.
So it's, right now, we're at the deadline right now. So I have to apply for an extension. And I'm kind of hoping that I'm able to. So tomorrow morning, I'm meeting with Shaheen's daughter in Concord. See if we're still liable to do this.
When was it open to apply for? Like, when did it first?
It's
begin?
going back almost 3 years ago.
So what
we
happened
did-
between now and 3 years?
We've
Well,
gone
if
through-
you remember when we had these conversations over the summer, it wasn't letting us make the application. We could get into the system, but we couldn't update, and it was because there was multiple things in there for the EPA and for the feds. There was multiple people signing in for different things, and it wasn't allowing us, and we actually got somebody from, what was it, Maine?
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Yeah, that was helping us get this thing cleaned up. And then we've had the other issue where we talked about at the last meeting, where somebody was trying to close out our existing grant and got in using the town's email because I was in Montreal when they accessed it.
It just doesn't seem like in 3 years that we wait until the last 6 months. So if you're going in the morning, Bob, are you available to go too with John tomorrow?
Yeah.
Tomorrow? Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I don't know how my board members feel, but I think I would prefer if you two went together.
I think this was planned several months back. It's a congressional breakfast. So she's there just as, it's a,
Oh, so you.
That's
don't-
it's not a meeting.
yeah, you meet all the state senators and then all the senators, Maggie Hassan will be there. Her daughter will be there, Pappas will be there, and Maggie Goodlander.
When did the process close?
It's tomorrow morning at 7:00.
The deadline is?
Yeah, well, no, tomorrow, that's when the breakfast is.
When was the deadline to
I
apply?
didn't know until this afternoon. They had just put me on the list.
No, I mean, but this 3-year process.
Right now, they're in the process right now, so it's throughout 26. So we have to the end of 26.
You just,
But what it was is they had a deadline last summer for the September, October funding, and then they reopened it, which means we gotta be in and accepted before, last year they closed it in July.
Yeah.
So, but we're in the next round.
oh, I guess I'm confused, John, because you just said we missed the deadline and you were going to ask. if-
So we have to ask for it. See, the thing is, the deadline we have to ask for, and then we have to include Mike and then the construction process. So we have to get an extension for 27, the rest of 26 and 27, if not 28, if I can get the full extension. So get a 2-year extension on it.
That's through completion of the project.
So that's how
I mean, the whole project has been going on for how long? How many years?
it's
Years.
5 right now.
Yeah,
But what happened was we had 5 different accounts under grants.gov. And one person went and deleted 4 of them. Now us working in grants.gov, it's been very difficult. We've had people help us in the whole 9 yards.
And they're not understanding where the problem is, because we can get all the way to the last spot. And it won't let us do it, and nobody can figure out why.
I guess.
And they
with all
don't, and
due
they will not
respect,
take it paper, they will not take anything else, it's gotta be done there.
It doesn't seem to make sense and it seems like your answer keeps changing and I guess I have no more questions because I probably shouldn't discuss it in this meeting.
So back to the intake. You think pumping it out is the viable thing, or a camera first? We gotta find
I
somebody
think
with a camera.
camera, pressure tested in camera.
All right. So
Pressure test
that'll
is
be our priority and right away to the main water tank. So, and then Bob and you can see about the funding. If you need help, let me know.
Is there, through rural water, do they have a list of anybody that would have a camera set up to do
They have
that?
the camera set up. It's 250 feet, but there's not many people that have water only cameras.
But you just said you didn't know anyone that had the water camera.
I'm a representative of Natural Rural Water.
Yeah, but you said it's only 200 feet.
Yeah, that's the
You
thing. It
need
can get us out into with the space that we think the problem.
Well, you just said you want to go 820 feet, John.
Yeah, well, the problem is the difference between the two of them. I can get out 200 feet, but to get out 800 feet, there's not many people that have let that
But
water only.
It seems silly to go through the hoops for 200 feet when we don't know where the problem is.
So I
So,
understand that.
so we need to find somebody that's an 820-foot one so we can do the whole thing, right?
Okay.
Would they know somebody?
I have to find out. There's not many people that have them, even the well.
Well, that's why I'm asking if rural water, if anybody has, they should have a, list of those engineers or companies, water companies that would have something like that.
Stephen. Patty is giving me, also that there's money through the congressional discretionary money for FY 27.
I just participated in a webinar because for something else that I'm hoping to possibly write a grant about. And that's also through, Shaheen, Gene Shaheen, but they're saying on this webinar that there's still monies available for communities, but the application process is underway, but hasn't ended. I don't know if that's the same thing John is talking about.
That's the same thing, they earmarks.
Okay. Yeah, it's still, as of the webinar, it was still available.
I mean, I think you guys are like 95% of the way there. It's just that last button.
Yeah, the
You
1.5
click that
million.
last button and nothing happens. I think, I mean, in a weird way that I would
We've done that. We
understand
probably
things.
did it. I bet you we went in there 20 times this summer and fall. And it was like, and we had people trying to tell us, well, how do we get to the next spot? And there's one button that you have to say, here it is, upload it and apply. And that's where it dies. And nobody can seem to understand what the problem is. We found out over time, there's a bunch of different accounts. It doesn't recognize certain things. It's just like, we're like a view-only user, not a actual user. It's a weird concept. It's an issue like that. And I'm telling you, we've done it 20 times. And we've called. And we've talked about it here a couple of times. We've talked, it's been everywhere. But it's been a real pain in the neck since last spring.
Does Lakes Region have any insight as to,
No, because it's not a.
I know it's not
It's
there.
not an IT issue. It's something at the EPA.
So there has been an individual at the EPA that's been trying to help out, providing other contact people and stuff like that too, I
Well-
believe.
She's the one that gave us the person in Maine.
Who's that? Do you know?
Andrea Berry, University of Southern Maine.
All right, we move on. Any questions from water users in town? What?
We're all
I
here.
know, well, 25 of us are anyways. Yes, sir.
And coming off of Lane Road, the end of Lane Road, you have to pump up to the water.
You're gonna laugh at
You're
this
gonna have to,
because the water is higher from the farms.
The tank was put in there purposely to be gravity fed.
Yes, it
did
was
all the-
gravity fed. That's the reason we was designed. D&K missed it by 11 feet. So that the people, when I get to, Butterfield's services there, that's the top of the tank, that right there. They killed me because I lose that last drop of 12, 13 feet.
Mike, is that gonna have to be physically dug for that? Or is that line gonna have to be physically dug the whole way? Or is it a drilling situation where we're gonna have the same problem we have with the intake? Right now?
Well, I think what we would do is, again, if we were gonna have this overall project, we're gonna drill on Route 4, we're gonna drill the services. Maybe the contractor would do some drilling, if it was the same guy. He might do some drilling along Canaan Street, so we don't have to disturb anything but I think it's designed that it would be open cut and or drilled, would be their option.
biggest thing, as you know, we just have to stay away from open cut under the travel portion of Route 4. Because anything we take out that doesn't go back in has to go to classified site now.
Because of the petroleum contamination.
Yeah.
Which was another reason that the drilling seemed like it was a good option instead of digging and then having contaminated soil to have to deal with.
Yeah, because if we can set the water line back, all we have to do is dig a hole on one side and at the line and drill, push through and not have to do that.
Now, I guess I would just throw out there that if for some reason the CPA money falls through, then maybe you try to find some other money for that water, at least for the water main on Route 4, so you can make that a viable construction, a long-term wrap up of that area instead of knowing you have to come back later.
That's the most sensible because of, we've got to do the incorporation upgrades. And that would just do the same job twice if we don't do the water line.
So just to articulate what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put together a water service project that includes Route 4 water main and a project that doesn't include the Route 4.
Right.
So we're gonna have two kind of plan sets. And then because you wanna at least use that 780, you wanna spend that. Even if it isn't perfect, how that all goes for the long term, it still would be money that you wanna spend to get the state off your back for the lead service.
And the part of when you're doing your financial analysis should be a comparison of even if we didn't have the money for the main, if you're gonna have to open the road up and make that mess and clean it up, is it still cheaper to put just the water main in? And it may be. You know what I'm saying? I think you gotta make that comparison.
I mean, ideally, we tried to get the state to allow us to include the water main in that lead removal, fund, because we said, well, there may be some lead joints in the,
Because that's the old cast iron.
but they said no. And maybe that is worthwhile to ask them again to reconsider their opinion on that. I don't know.
And one other thing that the state brought up is how difficult, if we have the two money sources, that when they bill, they have to be completely separate. They can't, it's not one project you're doing, it's actually two projects under one umbrella contract. So it gets a little messy.
I mean, I would put as much energy into trying to figure out that last little thing that you haven't been able to do. I'd put as much energy into that as you could. At this point, you know, you're like, you're running out of time for it and you're running out of energy to do it. I mean, it's been a long process already. But it really has to come through the town. That's why you can't really have people on the outside helping you because it has to come from the source.
Understood. Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
John, when we got you here, the end of March is gonna be approaching very quickly.
I already heard,
Yeah,
March 30th.
yeah.
Yeah, I know, she's gonna have it on
We're
her
gonna be
desk.
ready for numbers.
Yeah, I'll be ready for numbers, yeah. I've been a little busy today and,
You're always busy, John.
yeah, I know, I said, you know,
I'm just getting it on the record.
I know,
We've had
I
this
got it, yeah.
conversation since November. so,
Yeah.
All right, multiple times.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mike.
I know you probably know, sorry, the 150-year-old line, you know what depth it's at?
And, we do know what that's.
So you got to go deeper. If you're drilling across,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
So what's happened is that that road is, we cut it this summer. There's 2.5 feet of macadam, pavement macadam. And then the road sits below it. I mean, the pipe sits down below it. So the pipe's only 5.5 feet below the old road. But there's, on top of it, there's another 2 feet of material.
And you're looking at probably 10 feet or more.
Yeah.
To get down low enough so you can drill underneath the other line
Exactly.
and not.
Get underneath it and come back up.
I know you know what you want, I just asked the best one. Well, sometimes I want
It sits, you can see it.
For the drilling, you know, we'll be able to pick the depth we want to go. You know, we probably go down and then back up a little bit. So that where the shut off is, wouldn't be 10 feet deep. And we come back up. But we go as deep, and the water main would probably be put in probably at 8 feet of cover on that edge of the road. To get under, there's a lot of septic tanks with piping that goes into the sewer
Yeah,
line.
you got sewer line. like this.
So we go deep enough to avoid all that.
So we still have to dig down to get to the pipe so we can connect that and make all the connections, correct?
Yeah,
Obviously.
Yeah.
but see, the object is to be able to do it out of the lane of travel Loop 4.
And we have a question that's from someone who's online, but they're not able to ask it in the chat. They're asking when the water bills are gonna be collected. They had an abatement that we granted, I believe, over the summer, and they haven't received a corrected bill.
So I wrote a letter to the tax collector asking for a new bill to be put out with the abatements,
Okay,
and she literally has done it this week. So,
okay,
they should be getting it this week.
okay.
It should have happened before.
So this week. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, where are we?
Yeah.
Audit review, 2024. We finally got the audit from our auditors for year end for 2024. It's late. Has that been submitted to the state?
Well, they
We
want
have to
the
approve it
final
first.
approval. So just basically the select board, just the report for the report for internal controls is basically the same one we got in August, which was related to a couple of different things they wanted to see corrected. And the audit, but I don't have any changes to offer and I don't see anything. So I think at this point, we just need a motion to accept.
Mhm. hopefully our 2025 will look better than this one. Um, I'll make a motion to accept.
Did we get that by email?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain because I admittedly have not read it.
I read it, what was sent to us online.
Yeah. Might as well. There's nothing to sign here, just. Okay, easement deed review, we had a request for, the end of, Highland.
Highland.
Yeah, thank you. Highland Road, for an easement from the town, or to give the town an easement for turnaround. We sent it to, the last meeting of the meeting before. We sent it to John for review, and what were his recommendations?
Well, basically, because it obtains an interest in the land, there needs to be some form of approval to accept the property on behalf of the town. And basically, that would be through town meeting, like a vote or that type of thing. It appears that because it's connected to a road system, the board could perform a layout hearing for the subject property rather than going with the easement deed, waiting till next March. So someone would need to petition the board to begin that process. And if a layout occurs, there's no need for an easement deed, as the law only requires what is referred to as a return, which identifies where the easement is located. In the event of a recorded easement, it may complicate matters should the town choose to relocate a turnaround or something else. So his recommendation is somebody would need to petition the town to do the revised layout.
Okay,
So,
so that would be the person that was giving them.
yeah, basically, I think they just have to request the layout and we confirm the process with Sean, and that would take care of that.
Right. Okay, thank you. Lauren has put in a request for a change of traffic, and you want to talk about that?
I'd love to. Thank you. So thank you for letting me speak this evening. I'm Lauren Simpson, and I live in a wonderful neighborhood of family and friends on the corner of Hill Court and Regan Road in downtown Canaan. And first of all, I want to tell you how wonderful it is to live in that neighborhood. It's really a wonderful place to live. It's not unusual to see families on each other's lawns having some fun, neighbors walking and chatting with each other on walks throughout the neighborhood, neighbors taking care of each other's children or pets when they need a helping hand, or a neighbor grabbing a skittish pet that ran away and waiting for the neighbor to come with their pet, or even walking them back to their house. Neighbors navigating a family bike ride, or children on their battery operated riding toys, riding uphill court. Families throwing rocks into big puddles and seeing them splash, and so on and so forth. And families meeting and walking up to Todd's Blueberry Farm to pick blueberries or just hang out and talk in the side of the road. I built a little free library in front of my house in 2023, and for the ribbon cutting ceremony, about 40 members of the neighborhood came, and kids were running around. Parents were sitting on the lawn between my house and my neighbors and just chatting. And it's a great place to live. So our neighborhood is composed of a lot of different people at different stages of life with different lifestyles and responsibilities. So we have a lot of different perspectives and opinions, but there's one thing that we do agree on, and that there's an issue about the traffic that goes through our neighborhood. People who have lived here for decades in this neighborhood report that this isn't a new problem, and that we have upwards of 15 children, 12 cats or dogs, 8 different groups that regularly walk through our neighborhood, including school groups that go to Todd's farm to learn about maple syrup, how to make that, and in the summer program walks up there to pick blueberries. And then there's over 200 children that trick or treat in our neighborhood. So we'll be collecting money for that for next fall if you want to take care. And so traffic worries us because it's just a great neighborhood, but there's a lot of vulnerable populations there, the kids, the animals, and people that just love our neighborhood. So our worries around the safety of our neighborhood, our children, the pets, and the friends are rooted in the following. We feel that people use our roads as a shortcut to the transfer station. And if we sat and watched for an hour from my house, and 48 cars traveled through in just 1 hour when the transfer station was open on a particular day. They also go through there to get to Orange Road or Route 118. The visitors that travel through the neighborhood tend to always be above the speed limit, which is 25 miles per hour, and it's posted on each road. And they do ignore the stop signs and roll through them. And sometimes there's a real danger because there's at least 2 blind spots on Regan. You can't see over to the other side. And there's one on Hill Court as well. And with the roads a little bit narrow in places, it's just really dangerous. The non-residential cars that travel through at unexpected hours of the night is also more than what you would think. And the nocturnal wildlife, I almost saw a deer get hit the other day. The word I would use to describe some of the cars that go by my house is careening. They crest one of the hills at Regan and then they hit the gas, take the corner, and then head up into the next hill. Dogs have been hit and required surgery from those hits. Accidents have almost happened, and I actually run on those roads and I almost got hit by a car myself. So while our neighborhood agrees that the traffic and how it travels through our neighborhood is a concern, we don't all agree on how to solve that problem. So I'm just going to give the board some resources here that I made. I made a slideshow, but I'm giving you each copy so you can see some of the things I was talking about and the notes. So when I heard I was going to be speaking here today, I went around to the neighborhoods of the 22 households and I put out a little survey and said, what do you think about one idea of closing Regan Road, perhaps to try to help with this problem? Please let me know what you think. It's a great idea, bad idea, maybe. 21 responses came through, and a lot of them were, a high percentage were really in support of that idea. Some people were willing to consider that idea, and some people felt like they didn't like that idea of closing Regan Road, and they wanted to make other suggestions. So the 3 suggestions I just gave you, I took all the notes from all the responses and I compiled them together there for you. So the first idea that came out from the community, the neighborhood community, was to close Regan Road at Route 118. Some of the pros for that some of the neighbors said was it would stop the late night non-residential vehicles. It would stop the transfer station travelers. It would stop garbage and recycling from falling on our lawns. It happens a lot. There's a lot of trash that flies out of vehicles. There would be no more speeding. There's a dangerous intersection from getting off of Regan to go onto 118. It's just a blind corner coming down 118. That's very dangerous there. And we wouldn't be used as a shortcut. The neighborhood just simply wouldn't be a shortcut. The speeding cars and the blind spots are dangerous. And there's also snowmobiles right at 92 Regan, just past Todd's property, and they try to cross there. And as you know, if you're on a snowmobile, all you've got is your eyes. And coming up off of 118 and up Regan can be really fast for drivers. Some of the cons of closing 118 is emergency vehicles couldn't come that way, and they do come that way to get to the houses that are to my left, the ones that are on Regan that go from Hill Court up to 118. They are actually physically closer to emergency services going out Regan onto 118, but my house is actually closer to the emergency services if you come uphill, high and uphill, and everything to my right and down below is closer going that way. But the houses to my left are closer from going that way. There are residents that have wrote into me and said, we use that exit to go to the transfer station, to Cardigan, or to 118. And Todd also said that he has concerns about his blueberry business because for 3 to 5 weeks in July, people come and he needs them to pick the blueberries that he works so tirelessly on. And that's for 3 to 5 weeks in July each year. And then the snow plowing is also an issue. I'm not sure how they would get to snow plow past 107, which is right at the end there, and somehow navigate the end of the road. I'm not sure. A last minute idea came in wondering if there was a way to have a movable barrier of some kind so that when emergency services or the snowplow or blueberry season is in, can it be open? But not all the time. Speed bumps was another thing that came up from the residents. We had some speed bumps on High, and we had some speed bumps on Hill Court, but they have not been out in the last couple of years. They do slow down traffic a little, but a lot of people drive on the lawns to get around the speed bumps. So there's like these stone cairns that get built on the edges of the road to try to stop that from happening. People do accelerate between the speed bumps. So, they go slow and then they rev their engines to get through there. And some of them even just like go airborne over them to get around them. And the town has to put them in every season and then take them out every season because of the plowing. And when they're not in, then we still have the same problem we have now, which is dangerous for the people and the animals that live there. And in general, it doesn't seem to decrease the amount of cars going. Then the last idea that came in through the surveys was to maybe make Regan Road one way from 118 down to maybe Hill Court, or I'm not sure if it'd be doable to go down to High. It would stop traffic going to the transfer station. It would get the danger of getting off of Regan onto 118 out of the mix because no one would be coming off of Regan to go onto 118. And it should result in less traffic volume. The con of that would be people could still obviously come off of 118 and come back down Regan, and transfer station people could still come back that way. So I was really glad I asked my neighbors for their opinions on this. We would want your help because it's just safer for all the children, pets, families, friends, and visitors who come to the neighborhood. And I'm not alone in feeling really frustrated. I did get a lot of passionate responses from my neighbors about it. Grateful that I was just going to ask about this to you this evening about it. I know I and some other people in the neighborhood have called the police department to complain. I've put out cones to slow down traffic. Other neighbors have done that. I've even put out a little tricycle out on the edge of my lawn to try to trigger the thought that there might be something precious, on our roads and to please slow down. I and another neighbor even offered the police to come sit in our driveways so that they could see what's going on and witness what's going on. None of it has worked, and I don't know if they believe what we're saying. So anything has to be better than what we have now. I was in a neighborhood in Springfield, Vermont a few weekends ago, and this is where I got the idea that it was a no outlet neighborhood. And I was like, wow, there's no cars driving through here. And then I was like, oh, because nobody can go through here. It's just people live here. So that was why I had that first idea. But then I asked my neighbors, and you heard just now all the different ideas that have been coming up and all the pros and cons of each of those ideas. I know that I don't live alone in this neighborhood, and so we're a community, and I just want the most effective solution to be prioritized finally for this neighborhood, for the safety of everyone who lives in it. And it's just our little piece of paradise in Canaan. And I think this would really be a good idea for our community here. Thanks.
Thanks, Lauren. We have several neighborhood people in the crowd, including myself.
Yeah.
Anybody want to chime in or?
Yeah, my name is Chris Fortunato. I moved here in July. I'm an active duty naval officer in Whitewater Junction. So I think my big concern is the speed that people do go down the road. I have two small kids. I live at 67 Reagan. And there have been times, I've seen people doing, excessive speed. I just outlandishly fast, and I'm very cautious with my children. My wife's very cautious with her children, but they're kids and they wander, and it is very concerning on a Saturday morning when it's, when I'm out with my kids, if, people are going 30, 40. I don't have a speed gun, but it's excessive. So, I personally think that the possibility of, I don't know how it would be implemented, but possibly an interval of speed bumps could be effective. If that was a way that could slow people down, a stop sign that has lights on it potentially. I think there's ways to get around it to where it's kind of copacetic for everybody. But it does address the issue that, like, I really don't, it's a nightmare scenario for me to think of my children walking and something happens to them, or we're walking up the street to do whatever we do, and, someone is flying down. I've seen a person literally have to like slam on their brakes, getting to the top of the hill, like going toward the transfer station. So I mean, it's there, it does get excessive. So, yeah, that's kind of my take.
Yeah, so we have had speed bumps, not necessarily on Reagan Road, but we've had them on Hill Court and High Street, as Lauren mentioned. And that's my corner. It really doesn't slow anybody down, to be honest with you. If anything, it makes them go a little bit faster because they can not feel it if they go over them fast. So, and then the maintenance issue, it's kind of a pain. It chews up the road when they have to take them in and out and bolt them down. We have talked about speed dips, because then they're actually more effective. And we've looked into it. Bob's looked into pricing, and, we haven't acted on it, just more of a decision of where they would be if we do install them. So.
Well, there's
Also,
also,
the ones up at Cardigan School work really well. Yeah.
the thing you have to be careful that I ran into, I had two roads I want to put speed bumps, and the state will not allow a speed bump like we've been using unless the town's ready to accept liability. The only thing that they told me that I could use would be a speed table.
Yeah.
That's a permanent structure, and it must be marked so many feet before and everything, and painted. And you can't have them there in the winter. Bobby knows what it is from up Hanover and stuff, that your plows dig into them. I see the problem here that we need to get a concentrated effort from the police department over here to help.
I mean, to that point, we've had them sit in our driveway as well
Yeah.
to avoid,
It
people low
doesn't
through the
make
stop
any
signs.
But I mean, it's not just that road. I've got the problem now because the Potato Road Bridge closed. They come South Road by the house and down Ballpark Road rather than Potato Road. So,
So it went even faster to make up.
yeah. But I mean, the thing is that to put that one way that can create a nightmare for plow because of the width of the road and everything.
And in defense of Ryan, I mean, their traffic control is up significantly over what they've been doing, stops and everything else. So they are making an effort to stop. That's not just saying in this neighborhood, but across town.
I don't see them on our road much.
No, I understood.
They drive through, but they don't stop. And I had a police officer there, just for another reason, I can't even remember now. And Chris was inside, he's like, somebody drive by, so that, the police officer could see, and no one.
And see, the other thing that we're up against as a town, the state will not allow you to legally post a speed limit less than 25 miles per hour on a town road.
And that's what it says on all three signs.
Yeah, that's because that's what we are bound by. We cannot post it at 15 miles an hour like it should be. The state will not allow you to post less than 25 miles per hour.
Doesn't matter when it's posted, the people are gonna drive.
They don't.
Yeah, but I'm just saying if it's posted, it gives the police a speed limit to work from. 25 miles an hour, I've driven that road many a time. 25 miles an hour is too fast.
Yeah.
I dealt with roads for 20 plus years that you drive 15 miles an hour and you had to watch yourself just because of what they are, but.
I have a thought. So I think your neighborhood is great and I used to walk that loop a lot. My concern sitting here is that we hear this from people all over town, and if we took action every time, and when we would have done this with Goose Pond Road, we would have done it with Grafton Turnpike when we paved it. South Road, we just paved, and we have horses on that. I live on that road and people drive way too fast, but I don't know as a board if we can, how do we pick and choose, which areas we prioritize? I think, I tend to agree with Scott about police, and Ryan, I think, has been very approachable.
I was going to speak to Ryan. I had one of the residents see me just yesterday. And he said that it's what he sees when he's out with his kids, primarily Saturdays with the transfer station is when he finds the bulk of that traffic and excessive.
When school is out, there's also less traffic because families aren't traveling through their to school street.
Have you seen any change since, High Street's been closed because of the water break? Or just out of curiosity, I mean, we certainly have seen a drop, but
I know.
there's
Yeah,
hardly anybody coming
does.
through.
Where's the green line on our road?
We don't need any help.
That's right, the culvert did freeze by our house and there, we had a literal pothole of the frozen water. And so that's what I had put it on the community page because people didn't know. And then the town came and put some cones out because they crashing through an ice pot because they just don't pay attention. I don't know if we can put stop signs, make that a three-way stop at Regan and Hillport. I don't know if that would help.
It doesn't help on our corner. I mean, it's insane sitting
Yeah.
out there.
It's rare that somebody does actually stop, to
Yeah.
be honest with you, so.
We used to have a point system. We'd give them when they.
We used to do a front porch with there, blast them, but even that doesn't, then you get the finger and honk, and they don't slow down.
Actually,
One of
Yeah.
the, you know, when you talk about the baby steps and to Sadie's point, one of the things that actually is very helpful when it comes to traffic calming is actually striping the roads. Because you have a road, you're on the highway, you have a 13-foot lane, which is wide. You're driving down any of these roads that are paved that aren't striped, you got a 22-foot lane. And it really actually has a dramatic difference. And actually, depending on the width of the road, like any road I've done before, if it's a 24-foot road, we like to put the fog line in and make 10-foot lanes. And that dramatically slows, you know, it makes it feel constricted. And it's a first step to say, well, if we painted these 4 roads, because I believe Switch Road should be paved, should be painted now that it's been paved. And same with South Road. Those should absolutely have lines on them, and I think you'll see some calming. And then the other thing that works, whether it's the speed carts or the ones you just put in that have, you know, solar on them, and it starts to flash, you know, those are the 2 regularly effective traffic calming methods that are used.
I know our roads are not straight like Switch and South are. And I know we have a high concentration of houses and everything I've just mentioned. So that's why there's such a concern there. And the fear, when I see the school kids walking up to Todd's, I get worried about who's coming from the other side or from behind them because they can't see over those blind spots. It's just scary.
Because we have people coming from Canaan Street, whipping up high, right past our house, and they're screaming up that hill. And you cannot see over to the other side. You can't.
No, people drive stupid.
I mean, we hear it all the time.
And Stephen, in answer to your question, has it changed the traffic with High Street closed off? No, I think people are taking the turn off of Canaan Street. They see they're coming up Hillcourt, and that turn from Canaan Street up Hillcourt is dangerous.
It is also dangerous.
Yeah, either one of them. Yeah.
So no, I mean, I'm home a lot now and a lot of traffic. It's, you know, not just on Saturdays, and
I'm not really part of this, but I happen to be a member of the town down in Rhode Island, Warwick. And Warwick, I got to know some people down there. We're down on a regular basis. And they have a street that's much like a Canaan Street. It has a number of beautiful little neighborhoods, just like you're talking about. And it's a straight run. And traffic lights don't seem to matter to Rhode Island drivers for some reason. But what they did, right before this pretty large intersection, they put a camera that automatically tickets people. I don't know the first thing about these things.
You can't do that in New Hampshire, though.
You can't do that.
No, you can't. I mean,
Well, I'll
did it
tell you
for
what,
fun.
the guy I talked to that happens to be a cop down there, it's the best thing since sliced bread. We don't have any trouble anymore. My wife actually got a ticket from it too.
Yeah.
I know Patty didn't get to finish.
I just had one more. So in response to what Chet was saying about the steps and painting, but we have asked for the flashing things that tell you the speed you're going, slow down. And we're told, I've been to the police multiple times in the 37 years we've lived there, and we've had 2 dogs hit. And they were not, they came out of the house to meet, actually, one of them came out to meet Gloria when she was still walking away. And he just happened to get out the door and got banned. Anyway, but when I've asked about the flashing, device, they have them in Enfield. To see them, I'm told they're too expensive and we can't get.
The one that Enfield has, those are actually donated by businesses.
Okay, so is there? a
And
solution for
I think Jeff was talking about once a permanent, like a signpost,
Yes,
not the mobile unit. So.
but the signpost ones, the last price I see on them was $2,000 to $4,000 each.
Uh-huh.
And that, it's not cheap, but it's like, it's
Right.
one of those.
It's a
things that-
salute, it helps.
Yeah,
It
I mean,
it actually has an impact, and it's one of those. You just have to make it more difficult, like,
yeah,
you'll notice that wherever there's roundabouts, they'll put, lane dividers, you know what I mean? Like, there's a million different things you can do when you construct, but when you just put the 22 or 24 feet of pavement, it's hard to get people
They
to,
think they can use all of it.
yes, they can use all of that.
so how can you move forward in small steps?
So-
As a community member, I'm just asking.
Bob, can you look into cost of some striping and like,
Yeah, I did.
we'll put
I did
together a
look
list.
through the striping last year, and, the reason I put it on the back burner was finding someone to do it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
L&D was the only one, and they were like a year and a half out.
Industrial lines, I can get you the,
Okay. Yeah, I found some places in parking lots and stuff, but
get a hold of Jeremy. Because even that, what I had done before is I set up with them that they would do Newport or part of Lebanon or whatever, and us all in one.
okay. All right. We'll get that number from you at the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chris wanted to ask.
That actually is kind of, I was curious how feasible that is to get stripes put on the road. Is that a hard ask or like to the?
No, it just adds cost, but
Yeah.
we had talked about it, and like I said, I looked into it, but it's like we wanted to get it done right after we paved, and it was like.
Yeah.
It's like 22 cents a foot or 24 cents a foot.
Right.
Yeah, I was
For a double yellow.
Okay. Because then the other thing I was thinking, I mean, like, I don't know if it has to be like something I would have to give my permission, but if data points need to be taken, I'm more than welcome to, or I'm more than happy to let the police, if they want to sit in my driveway for a while during the day or on a Saturday even, like, I have no issue with that if data points are needed. Like I said, I mean, my biggest thing is I just want to make sure that obviously all the people that are safe. It's just, it is a wonderful place to live. And so that's literally the only negative there. Is the people that just fly through there.
And it's not exclusive to your neighborhood,
Oh, yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Cause I know for a fact they've been getting them on, South Road 55 miles an hour.
Ted, you had something? Ted?
Oh, yeah, well, I've mentioned it to Ryan so many times that the last couple of times I've seen him, he said something to the effect of having officers checking our roads more often. Like, but they just drive through and keep going.
I'll follow up with Ryan too.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you. Can we also get a signed, price on those, speed signs as well? Not the mobile units, but the posted ones, up to date pricing. I know there's a couple different ones that are out there, so.
Try a restore marker and speed.
It's really important to.
Maybe touch base with Ryan, because he's pretty good at finding grants for that.
Yeah, the numbers up, I can do it.
Steve, it's
That's right.
really important to the neighborhood, maybe the neighborhood can take up a collection.
Rapid
Oh,
fire paintball gun.
Yeah.
Let's find a price first.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Mr. Thibodeau came to us with an issue with your assessment.
Yeah.
So we gave it over to, Brendan, our assessor. He went through it and wrote up a lengthy response, which I can share with you. And then we also gave it to Sean Tangway, our lawyer. And again, both of them are not necessarily in your favor, but you're welcome to read this.
Right.
All right. And you can have a copy of Brendan's assessment of the whole process. He went through it from day one basically and got as much information and shared it as, tried to put notes to it, so.
It's like being in quicksand.
Yeah. So tonight, all we're gonna do is rule, I mean, I know you sat here all evening, but we're just gonna rule on whether we're gonna accept the abatement or not for, abatement request, so. Okay, so, I mean, that's where we're at right now.
Okay.
Okay. You wanna make a motion?
Based on information we have, I move that we deny the abatement.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All in favor?
I,
Aye. So that's for you.
What's the upshot of this?
What's that?
What's the upshot of what he has here?
Mostly that, a lot of it was access to the property over the years. And the assessors do, the primary job of what they're doing is coming in and seeing the property. And, a lot of it is access, and implied access or lack of access to the property over the years. So, that's really the gist of it from Brendan's, point of view.
He took it off of each time that they went out and had a
Yeah.
meeting scheduled, it's on the property cards.
Yeah, so every time they go, it's on the property card.
It's when they were at a visit and when it was scheduled and where they granted access.
Granted access, and if they got
times that it
access,
was not.
what they did. So, I mean, there are times when he had access and they put it, and he went back to all the notes, so.
So all the plans that were submitted when we did any kind of renovation and the multiple times that I've walked through the assessors of the past, I guess that isn't any part of the discussion.
Well, he went back to, like he's quoted back to 1990 on the cards of when they were granted access and when they were not. So it's all there. But I mean, and then you can review and then,
Where is this that I couldn't have seen this before this point?
I don't know, he found it.
So it's in the property cards in the assessor's office.
Yeah.
And just going through, he did have to decipher some different assessors notations and changes to how properties are identified based on time, because it changes how they call different things. So, like I said, read through that and then,
Yeah,
okay.
all right. Obviously, it's a difference of opinion, and I'm afraid the records that are available to the public are what I gave you folks. And it's a shame that there isn't more complete information to begin with, so that we're not wasting everybody's time on things and it can be straightened out in advance.
yeah, well, part of this unfortunately also falls on you, because every time you did meet with an assessor, they make an assessment, and then there is the review process for you to ask questions of every assessment that's been done.
You know, it's an interesting thing. Most common people, which I'll put myself in that category, don't know the rules of the game. So when these things come up at various points in life, it doesn't help to be ignorant. And have it thrown in your face that there is a process that you're unaware of certainly is not helpful.
Well, every assessment I've had of my property, and I owned it from 1978, whenever it was assessed, I received a letter from the assessors and with date and time of which I could ask questions or review that assessment. And if I had questions, I would show up that day and go in and go through that question.
I have to
process.
confess to my recollection, I don't recall ever seeing those. But I also was gone a great deal at the time, so they could show up and not be seen by some member of the household.
But I'm saying that's been the process, and that's been my experience since 1978.
Okay, well, thank you
And
all
I
very
mean, I
much.
was gone too, because for a number of years I was over the road trucking, so.
Okay,
Town administrator report.
Don't really have a lot today, just, we're still waiting for the Casella evaluation of the transfer station, so.
Do you have the contact there, Judd?
Dave Allen.
Dave, is the head of it.
And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have, because MRI's in and we're talking about all the different updates on the project, but it's not anything new to report here.
All right, I want to take the opportunity to thank you for the last couple of years of your service to the town. It is appreciated. When you came in, it was kind of a mess. You know, I think we've come a long way in the 2 years that you've been here, so I appreciate it. As most of you don't know or do not know, tomorrow was Chet's last day officially, so, so anyways, thank you. And we
Thank
do
you.
have an interim
It's
TA
been-
coming in, so.
It's been interesting and in many ways enjoyable. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind of a couple of years, and we've covered a lot of ground, and there's still a lot to go. Hopefully we can pick up. You guys can
It's
keep
been
going.
real, it's been nice, but not necessarily real nice.
I'm not gonna go there.
But yes, thank you for where we've gone.
Motion to adjourn.
Does anyone have anything else?
Oh, other business.
Yeah, he,
Bob, welcome.
That's for last. On the post roads Friday.
Yep.
Um,
Is this normal? It seems early, but no.
no, well,
Okay.
with the weather coming.
Yeah.
So I just want.
And I saw Enfield did it as well,
Okay
so.
on it, yeah.
Okay.
So I have a question about that, Bob, because I saw it on social media that they've already been posted.
No, well.
they're
this was an
effective.
announcement that It's gonna be posted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what it was?
yeah.
Okay.
So I do that to try and give.
I move that,
Contractors as much of a heads up as we can. You know, so they're not just like, oh, I didn't know.
I move that effective date of road postings for spring mud starts March 6th. That's what you're supposed to, right?
Yep.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else, Bob?
Just that, JR's in the hospital again.
Yeah, actually, I just realized he fell today.
Heard two different stories. He told me he fell yesterday at home. He told John, he called me and I was in my doctor's appointment. So by the time I called back, he'd already called John. He told John today, but anyway, he took a couple falls.
Okay.
So Barry and Danny are ramrodding over there, but just so you guys are aware, he's
Thank you.
out. I haven't heard any more, so I don't know if he's out for a couple days or.
Okay.
Bob, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Because I like bugging you every day. My file cabinet is coming tomorrow. Who do I get in contact with? Because you know that same situation's gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yeah, just call me.
Just call you, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have to unload a whole truck again.
One. Last one.
No, they had it in the front of the truck.
Oh.
Well, that's driver's
Kind of a show.
responsibility.
No, the driver doesn't touch it either.
They were
Poor
moving
driver
pallets
didn't load
of
it.
rocks out of the way.
Let's see.
Anything from anybody else? Motion to adjourn?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
We don't need non-public, right?
So.